Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle. Coming up this morning, growing anxiety among kidney patients across the country as government increases the cost of dialysis treatment. More, as a kidney patient is now required to pay 1,000 Ghana cedis every week for 2 sessions.
Many have died and countless.
Even the people were dying because of the previous cost. They were not able to afford the costs involved. I don't understand the government. I don't understand.
Meanwhile, the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital is calling for stakeholder intervention to support the hospital treat children requiring dialysis. Plus, businesses continue to lament over the continuous free fall of the city as Guta labels it as crisis, claiming it has left their businesses in a mess.
And at this point, we've gone beyond the roofs and we cannot absorb any other extra cost than to pass it on to the consumer.
We'll tell you why Guta threatens to pass on production costs to the consumer. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Denana Aisha. Please do stay for details. There's growing anxiety among kidney patients across the country as government increases the cost of dialysis treatment. A kidney patient is now required to pay close to 1,000 Ghana cedis every week for 2 sessions on a dialysis machine. The kidney patients say the government has eventually put a final nail in their coffin, leaving them with no option than to die. In the first part of our dialysis series, features editor Richard Kwejonyako tells a story of disappointment, anger, and betrayal.
Last year, 15-year-old Priscilla Sante's young life was cut short. Her dream of becoming a nurse unfulfilled, leaving a void in the hearts of many. Her mother's voice joined the choruses across the country in calling on government to reduce the cost of dialysis in order for many to live. Priscilla was not the last to die. Many have died, and countless numbers are in the queue waiting to die because they can't afford to pay the cost of dialysis. 33-year-old Salas Mensah teary after hearing the announcement of the increase.
490 for a day, so in that week, when it comes to it, costs you about 1,000.
He briskly calculates the amount of money he would now have to pay in order to live.
As for me, I don't have anybody. A guy saw me in Kumasi and then he told me to help me. If the price go high like this, I'm crying for the guy now. So that is now my greatest fear.
I was working at GES. I came, a year I came retirement, and I came then this thing started. It has been a very hard because of the money aspect of it. And right now too, it has been increased. So it is not easy.
Gabriel Mensah retired from the GES last year. Shortly after his retirement, he was diagnosed of the diseases. The weight of this announcement is evident in his voice.
The payment aspect is serious. Serious. We are going to die. We are going to die.
Patients here are angered by this announcement. Their anger is sandwiched with the never-ending plea to government to that decision. For 37 years,
Dialysis fee, very difficult. So sometimes you think that, oh, Charlie, if you die, cry, it will be okay, so that your burden on the family and the friends will be over, and they use the money to do other things.
For these cocktail of stories told differently by different patients at the dialysis unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital reveal despair, disappointment, anger and betrayal by government.
It's kind of getting us more devastated.
For Thomas Vincent Khan, this is his 11th year being on the dialysis machine. He is surprised the loud voices that were raised by patients and other advocates could not get government to reduce the cost of dialysis.
Because already with the 350, we always struggle to even come to the hospital for dialysis. So for such an announcement, especially at the time that we've made a lot of noise asking for a reduction, even on the 350 that was being charged, and then we wake up and the next thing we are hearing is that rather the prices are going to go up. It has never been easy. I have been on dialysis for 11 years, and throughout the 11 years it has never been an easy road.
For each second that the dialysis machine here beeps, death keeps its eagle eyes on the patients, ready to snuff out the life in them.
It got to a time somebody came and told us that she wants the line to be removed because she knows she cannot afford the daily session. That was around 350 cedis per session. And then she told us we should remove the line so that she will just go and die because she cannot continue the session again. In fact, we did everything. We tried to source funds for it, but there's nothing we could do because the mind was made up. She was fed up. Looking at she had children in the house, and every week she keeps coming here pumping money, and then it seems there's no hope for her, so she decided to end it.
Head nurse at the dialysis unit here at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Eunice DeGraft Ishent, says being on dialysis is like a death sentence and a lot of support is needed to help the management of the diseases.
Then sometimes, most of them, they come in the acute phase. So even getting the access, the temporal catheters, and then starting their first 2 or 3 sessions is a problem. So in these instances, management will come in so that we will start the dialysis as the relatives also go and look for funds to come and support.
Here at the dialysis units of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, many machines have broken down, compounding the problems of the patients. The patients now have to queue as early as 1 a.m.
2/3 of our machines are broken down, and then coupled with the stresses, they're already not feeling well, and they have to come here as early as 1 a.m.
Unfortunately, apart from the cost that is even, giving us problems, you come in here and there are not enough machines because every day they are being new. They are diagnosing new patients who. So it means that the numbers keeps adding on. And unfortunately, when you come here at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, we're only left with just 4.5 machines.
Why do you say half?
I say half because there's one machine that somebody has to sit by it, and then every 30 seconds, the person has to be present because it's not fully functioning.
Public Relations Officer of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Fred Yanka, says the hospital will continue to support the patients as they go through these emotional journeys.
There has been a strict instruction that you don't send a patient out because he or she is owing. So even though some of these our patients are owing, anytime they come, we still take care of them, and we are still going to take care of them till something come in for them to get some funds to take care of their bills.
For every tear that drops, for each heart that bleeds, for every hope that's dashed, and for each penny that these patients, their families, and other benefactors spend in their attempt to keep these patients alive, they call on government to support them to live a little while longer by reducing the cost of dialysis.
I've been joined by the Director of Programs at Hope for Future Generations, an NGO in health. I'm grateful for your time, Nancy. You must be worried that a kidney patient is now required to pay close to 1,000 Ghana cedis every week for 2 sessions on a dialysis machine.
Yes, good morning. And it is not only I who is worried, but I think that many Ghanaians are worried because as you know, if there is someone who needs a dialysis or who needs dialysis, then we are not looking at only one person, we are looking at a family. And therefore, all are concerned about the cost of dialysis. And I hope for future generations, we add our voice to the call that government should look at the cost of dialysis and reduce it further and ensure that many people who need them or who need the services can access it.
What's your role in actually ensuring that the government provides the subsidies needed for these kidney patients to be able to afford dialysis treatment?
For Hope for Future Generations, we are a health advocacy organization. We do other things, but advocacy is one of our main activities that we do, and therefore we'll continue to advocate and to call on decision makers to look at the cost and ensure that it is brought to an acceptable standard that many people can afford. As we are talking about quality of health care, to ensure that we achieve universal health coverage, these are also some of the issues that we have to look at. Cost of healthcare access is very, very critical, especially when you look at our country and you can realize that 1,000 Ghana cedis a week, which is translate to about 4,000 cedis a month, will be difficult for many people to spend on dialysis.
Now, government through the National Health Insurance Authority has hinted that it will absorb some of the cost of the treatment. Is that enough to deal with the challenge we have at hand? Right. So that was Nancy. Nancy, who is the program. Nancy Ansan is a programs director at Hope for Future Generations, an NGO in health. When we get her again, she'll be telling us, and don't forget that the CEO of that Hope for Future Generation is a co-chair of the Global Health Fund. She'll be telling us what they've also been doing to help deal with the matter. But let's listen to President of the Renal Association of Ghana, Kojo Bafo-Ahenkra, making a passionate appeal to government to come to their aid.
Some benevolent came in, did some presentations. I remember Zoom Lion came in, did some presentation. Reverend Bodin Amiche, Baker's House Chapel also came, did some donation, and then a couple of, but we've not, all that we heard that they made the donations, but as to where the money is, whether they to be given to us, not to be given to us, we don't know.
So the donation that came through, you are not benefiting from it in any way?
We've not. When we go like...
It hasn't affected how much you pay?
Yes. When we go, we pay 380. When the place was closed down last year, around this time, because May 21st that it was closed, around this time, last year, and we went back, I think around October. We've been paying. Every session we pay 380.
But what understanding did we get? That the donation was for the patients or for the hospital?
Most of the time we hear, Joy, you should have a clips of those things. Zoom Lion. I learned it's for the patients. That is what I heard. I was not the one that presented it, but I heard it on Joy. That is for the patient. Bodin Amiche, I think it was around this time when the crisis was up.
And Bodin Amiche is the head pastor of Maker's
House Chapel. Yeah. When the place was closed down, he also brought it to help patients. We never saw the light of it. There was no any day. So what Bodin Amiche came to pay, maybe we are trying to subsidize it when you can maybe pay 100 or pay 200. We never had anything of that sort, as we sit.
And have you probed to understand what is going on?
Oh, nothing really is coming out. When you ask, nothing really is coming out.
National Health Insurance Scheme has meanwhile revealed that it is ready to roll out subsidies on the cost of dialysis treatment.
I think we've made progress on dialysis. Just last week, a committee that has been set up to chair and implement the disbursement of the funds that were approved by Parliament has actually concluded their report, including the dialysis patients themselves. So we work with them. They have concluded, and I can confidently say that within the next few weeks, we will be starting the disbursement to the various facilities. I can give you the details, which is obviously the fact that this one was for the needy. What was approved by Parliament for the needy. I know Parliament has also increased the cost of dialysis for the healthcare providers, which is they've taken it to 491. But if you look at Kolebu, we have a philanthropist supporting majority of them with about 380 Ghana cedis. So the difference is about 111. So the other hospitals do not have that support. So we're looking at supplementing for both patients from Kolebu, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, and Central Region, in such a way that for Kolebu, because they do get that support, we will be able to bridge a gap for them. Then we support our patients also from Cape Coast and Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. But the fact is, they do 8 cycles per month. We cannot do all the 8, so we are looking at an average or maybe below average. We're yet to, obviously, like I said, the report is ready, so it's just to be taken to the board for final consideration, then the implementation starts.
Maternity and neonatal intensive care unit block of the Keta Government Hospital was an eyesore. The facility was in a dilapidated state and calls for help had fallen on deaf ears, putting the lives of mothers and expectant mothers, as well as their children, including those yet to be born, in danger. The MTN Ghana Foundation heeded to the calls and has since constructed a new facility for the hospital. The state-of-the-art facility, equipped with modern amenities and furnished to provide comfort and care, is to help the hospital deliver its services in a safe and conducive atmosphere. There's more in this report.
Workers and patients alike were beaming with joy and appreciation for the new facility. The NICU block, equipped with specialized equipment and staffed with skilled medical professionals, provides critical care to premature and sick newborns, ensuring they receive the best possible chance at a healthy start to life. The maternity ward in charge, Grace Golo, and other nurses at the maternity ward spoke with Joy News.
Okay.
We also have operating theater, NICU, a mother's dorm, lab, dispensary, and a scanner. We also have consulting rooms where we conduct our ANC services. So as you can see, we are in the first stage ward in the labor ward. So our delivery suite is located down there. So this is an addition because at the previous complex we had 3 beds. So this is even another
yes.
ward for us.
Okay. So how has it been like since you started from here compared to the old block?
Wonderful working here. It has reduced the stress. Mothers are happy, staff are happy, and I must say that we have all the facilities in one complex over here.
Because it's a new place, everybody wants to experience
the facilities.
Because it's a new place, everybody wants to come through. That's why they are coming in their numbers. And then we give them a nice treatment, as you saw how we were taking care of them.
Is it only within Keta or other places, Angroga and other?
Some even come from Tema. Yeah.
Tema?
Yes, they come to this place.
Because of the facility?
Yes, because it's a new place. And then because their relatives are here, so they decide to come to their relatives.
Enjoy the MTN facility?
Yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
They need extra everything. Extra food, extra care.
So what food are you giving them?
Breast milk.
She comes to give them?
Yes.
Thankfully, he is not on oxygen.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just that. People can push 4 kg.
But they cut that place.
Of course.
The babies, that one. For the mothers celebrating their first Mother's Day in the new facility, the atmosphere was filled with gratitude. Sarah Aku, a new mother, expressed her joy. Okay, you are back. Ellen needs Nami. Tammy enjoying me. Never did job. Let me buy me Jiba Yoga Jugo, huh? Oh, me got you, me a straw bagava from me here. Oh.
So this is the main
theater.
And since it's in the maternity block, this one is mainly for maternity cases. That is CS cases. And one benefit here is now when there is an emergency CS, we just have to push the client here. Unlike our previous block, we have to. It's a mix of both the general cases, general surgical cases, and maternity cases. So that one we have to wait. Maybe they are doing a different case. We have to. Meanwhile, it's emergency. So it helps to curb or solve emergency situations.
According to her, this Mother's Day is extra special, knowing that they are in a safe and comfortable environment. The impact of MTN Ghana's Foundation's contribution to healthcare in the region extends beyond the physical infrastructure. It signifies a profound investment in the well-being of communities and future generations. Ivy Satoji, Joy News, Keta.
Political interference and lack of education is emerging as significant obstacles hindering the full enforcement of environmental regulations aimed at managing air pollution in Ghana. This revelation surfaced during a workshop held in Takoradi, where researchers and relevant agencies tasked with implementing the laws convened to discuss pressing barriers. Air Quality Beat reporter Michael Ashali has more in the following report.
Emissions from industry and manufacturing contribute heavily to air pollution in Ghana, but close to half of the country's pollutants are attributable to road transport, particularly on urban roads. Former Director of Air Quality at the EPA, Emmanuel Apo, attributes this to the increased vehicle population and poor driving behavior.
Our attitudes on the roads are very bad. People tend to drive anyhow. If you don't drive well, mentioning vehicular maintenance challenges also there because of funding. People buy vehicles but don't have the money to maintain them very well. You have plumes of smoke coming out of that, and also you have wear and tear from vehicles that are not maintained very well.
In Ghana, there are still obstacles hindering the full enforcement of environmental regulations aimed at managing air pollution.
Ghana is known to have some robust regulations and laws to combat air pollution on roads. By the way, it appears that air pollution, data from EPA, so air pollution on roads is still high, far higher than the WHO guidelines. So the question is, in spite of all these regulations, why do we have this issue?
Researchers from the Department of Biology, Environment and Occupational Health of the University of Ghana and relevant agencies gathered to identify these obstacles and how to address them. Dr. Reginald Kwanzaa is the lead researcher.
People are buying cars. There are more cars on our road than ever. And most of these cars are very old, have so many problems that can cause pollution on our road.
Participating institutions included the Office of the Attorney General, Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Vehicle Dealers Association or Garages, and Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. Others are Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Department of Urban Roads, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Political interference and lack of education emerged as significant hindrances to the enforcement process.
And for example, there are other issues of when corporates are prosecuted, there are some interferences from those in power. And so it becomes very difficult to implement the regulations and the laws. The social aspect, which has seen a lot of emphasis, that there's non-compliance to most of our regulations by the citizen. And one of the things that has come up is lack of education. Most people don't know about the laws, what they have to do and what they don't have to do.
Country lead of Clean Air Fund, Desmond Appiah, emphasized the importance of comprehending the factors impeding the implementation of air quality laws to fortify them.
But in all the great things that we are doing, and they'll give some of the examples, the first country in West Africa to take out some of the lead in fuels, a big study on kids exposure. Even today in West Africa, it is Ghana that does a lot more monitoring of the quality of air. Despite all these things, there are massive gaps. Everybody you talk to when it comes to pollution issues talks about enforcement. And there are volumes of reports about enforcement issues. But what is it really in the Ghana setting that we have to understand and see the best things to do for us to go for it?
For the participants, the workshop served as an eye-opener, revealing the devastating impact of air pollution and providing a platform to exchange perspectives. Some shared their personal experiences during the discussions.
So congestion in the road is one of the factors that contribute to air quality. So I think that is the area that you have to look at, congestion on the road. How to make sure that the pavement, the walkways, and the pedestrian areas are being utilized by the road users.
We have the laws, to be frank. The laws are there, the environmental protection agencies, they have the laws. But I feel that most of them are being flouted. They are not being followed up. Like we don't enforce it. And I think that is the major issue for me here.
As vehicles continue to emit harmful pollutants, addressing these obstacles becomes crucial for the preservation of air quality and public health. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund. The funder had no say in the content of the story. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
This morning, the city is continuing with its free fall as the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is already labeling it a crisis, claiming it has left their businesses in the mess. The forex bureaus across the country are exchanging $1 for as much as 14 cedis, 80 pesos. The business community, including GUTA and importers, are raising alarm, calling on the central bank to intervene. Listen to the lead at the Business and Economic Bureau of GUTA, Charles Apiakubi, who says they have no choice than to pass the cost to the consumer.
You see, when you live in a slave environment, you always want to find a blame of your woes. Over the period when forests are going high, government upon government tends to blame the local businesses that we are doing more importations. But the fact and the reality is that is not the case.
But you're doing more importation, are you not?
80% of importation in Ghana is controlled by foreign companies, and that is a fact. So how could you blame the local businesses that because you are doing more importation, that is why forest is going high? When you set trade policies that favors foreign companies in terms of FDIs, and there's a need for them to do more importations, who suffers? It's the reserves of this country, forest reserve, that suffers. Let me take you to GIPC Law 2013 Act 865. That stipulates the equity registration that a solely foreign company that want to establish in Ghana must bring. That's $1 million. And the equity registration hearing, we are looking at PPEs, properties, plant, and equipment. So you could find a foreign company meeting this 1 million, but real cash might not be 1 million. And when they have to do importation, and you look at their import value level, it's about 10 million. The 9 million difference, where did they get it from?
So, I mean, coming back to the depreciation, though, and from the statement that you put out today, how are you dealing with it? Are you passing it on to consumers?
Of course. As businesses, we have a limit that we can absorb certain costs. And at this point, we've gone beyond the roofs, and we cannot absorb any other extra costs than to pass it on to the consumer.
Well, I've been joined by Samson Awingobet, who is the Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association. Grateful for your time, Samson. What's your own story with regards to the continued depreciation of the cedi?
Pleasure is mine. Good morning and good. I strongly believe that, as a matter of fact, it should be a concern not just with the business community, but including, as a business person, I am a consumer. As you reading the news, after news, we are a consumer. All of us, Ghanaians, are going to suffer in the next quarter for the way the city government is doing absolutely nothing to prevent it further depreciation. We were thinking when the second tranche of IMF was coming in, the $600 million, when the $300 million come from World Bank, when the $900 million come from these were coming to pushing the business community, pushing the further depreciation. Unfortunately, the government have put all this money, yet we are seeing further depreciation. As we speak now, a dollar is going for 14.80. What it means is that any business person who negotiated with their suppliers early last year, November, December, January, October, November, December, promised a supplier that country currency, maybe plus or minus, will go less than 2.5, and you've come and you're prices around maybe 12, 50%, knowing that at least the dollar will go between 10.5 to 50 supplier. Fortunately, less than 3 months, the dollar has moved to 40.80. What it means is that if you were making sales and your cedi, anticipating that after you finish sales before you then convert into the dollar, you have made so much loss and you won't even be able to pay your supplier. And so it's becoming a challenge. So if you are not increasing your prices daily basis and in hourly basis, then you cannot be in businesses. You will have to go up business completely. And that's the challenge you are facing now.
Samson, what's your plan? Are you also planning to pass on the cost to the consumer?
I mean, government is making the money at the port. If the rate is 14.80, I'm sure government is using between 14.5 or 14.3 at the port in calculating duty. And so you have no choice than to pass that upon the consumer. Absolutely, yes. There's no way any business person would say, I am going to be parachuting. If you're going to do that, then of course your supplier will not supply you again. Because you are going to make losses. They have already made losses.
Samson Awingobet is Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association, and he says they would also pass on the cost to the consumer. Meanwhile, the CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors says implementation of the good for oil deal has not been properly done to mitigate the free fall of the cedi as expected. He also says it's unfair to expect all bulk distribution companies to purchase products from the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST as a result of the gold for oil deal. Dr. Patrick Ofori says many BDCs have established structures based on their partnership with international oil distributors and banks, facilitating their business operations and do not at all costs have to deal with BOST.
In technical terms,
we are not against it, but we are against the way the implementation has been skewed in favor of public entities. So what we're saying is BOG has done remarkably well when they came in with that forest auction. So all that we're advocating for is that you already have an existing relationship with us and our banks. So all that we also require, even if you don't trust us, that you don't regulate us, at least you regulate the financial institution. Let's cede our cedis to the financial institution. Let them onwards pass it on to Bank of Ghana. And they manage with the auction. They also use that to procure the gold, and then the resultant forest will be accumulated to us. Our bone of contention has been, yes, we understand the strategic importance of BOST, but none of us set out our businesses with BOST as a middleman. All of us set out our businesses because we've built a track record of having wonderful relationship with these international players. Dr. Suleiman made a point. For 10 years since TOR has not been in existence, for those years, some years back, that BOST was not even able to pay its own debt. The private sector kept the market going. So what has changed? That all of a sudden, they are seen as the black sheep. The sad aspect of it is that because the BDCs are predominantly owned by Ghanaians, we are skipping them to enroll another entity that is a private sector.
Which entity is that? Which entity is that?
Thank you. Yeah. Why should we be interested so much in ensuring that the Sentio crude, they get the forest to do that?
Well, he's saying that it's gold for oil, right? So they're giving them
for crude. So what we are saying is the remaining 60%, that is also oil that are being imported, also require a total gold for oil cover for that private sector. That is basically what we are.
So that's what you're asking for. In other words, government should expand this beyond the 40%.
Expand it. To expand it to cover everybody. And then also, I'll even make a further proposition that if we also believe that other variables are part of what is currently going on, like you've made mention of the IPPs and then ECG buying fuels. What prevents the central bank? At least ECG is also more or less controlled by government.
And this morning, locked up investment holders forum are currently picketing at the Finance Ministry. They want the ministry to revoke the licenses of financial and saving and loans companies that have been declared insolvent and pay depositors their funds. Let's cross over now to the ministry and speak to my colleague Kenneth JC, who is there for us.
Picketing because of the ban on noise making in Accra. Now they're being disallowed from entering the premises of the ministry. It's currently locked. They're demanding that the ministry, pay the funds of their monies that have been locked up at financial institutions that have been declared insolvent. So let's get closer. Today, we could see a lot of young people have joined in. We see the convener here, Dr. Edu Anane is here with us. Doctor, welcome to Joy News. You're live on Joy News. You're picketing here once again. Tell us about it.
Well, I think this is the first time we are picketing. The other time we came, we were supposed to come here and have a meeting with the minister. And we didn't get the minister, even though we had written to the minister that we're going to Bank of Ghana, and from Bank of Ghana we will come here. We came here, the minister wasn't there, no deputy ministers, no director of chief director, no director of any of the departments were here. So we left. So that day it wasn't picketing. We were just coming for a meeting that didn't come on. Today it is the real picketing. We are doing this because when we came here on the 27th and we didn't meet the minister, we sent the minister a petition on 28th to say that we have been to Bank of Ghana And Bank of Ghana says it is prepared to revoke the licenses of these insolvent institutions and pay us our deposits. But they need funding arrangement from the Ministry of Finance to make financial provisions so that they can revoke the license and pay us our deposit, just as it was done in 2017-2018. So that was a conversation we were going to have with the minister that we didn't get to the minister. So the next day, we put it in writing as a petition to the minister to address those issues. 3 weeks, we didn't receive any response whatsoever from the ministry. So after 3 weeks, we sent another reminder, and that was on the 18th. The first petition was 28th of March, and we sent the reminder 18th April, and said we were giving the ministry another 2 weeks at least to respond, tell us what is going to happen. We waited, and we stated in that letter that after the 2 weeks, if we don't receive any positive response from the ministry, we will begin picketing the ministry. So it was black and white, clearly stated in that letter. We waited for 2 weeks, no response whatsoever. So since we have already told you that if you don't give us a positive response, we are going to picket here, and you are not giving us a positive response, then you expect that the picketing is going to come. Meanwhile, we had to engage the police. So we sent a letter to the police, I think on the 6th of May, to engage the police, and we finally settled. And today was agreed to be the first time we are picketing at the ministry. And we have told the police we will be picketing every Wednesday. Every Wednesday. And we are going to do that until the end of November. December is an election month and Christmas. So we will not be doing picketing in December. If our matter is not resolved, right, our request is not met, just after Christmas, we will resume the picketing after the New Year. So that is our plan. And we will be picketing every Wednesday. Right. Every Wednesday until this matter is resolved. Right. Even if we get 5 people, we will come and picket here until the matter is resolved.
You've been here, the door to the place is locked.
No, we are not interested in picketing. We are not going inside. We have never been going inside. When I was leading the pensioners, we have a place that we always meet and sit. So if they can stand, they can stand here. If they want to move there, they can move. But no one is going inside. That's not the plan.
Okay. And then looking at the ban on noise making, you cannot, chant or do anything like that.
That's why we're going to come with our brass band to entertain everybody here, so that you don't while off the time. But because of the noise making, we can't do that. So maybe for the first 3 picketing that we will be doing, we will be picketing without the brass band. But as soon as the brass band, the band is lifted, we will be coming here with the brass band.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me talk to some of the young people who have also joined the picketing as well. Okay, so, right. You can see here they are gathered in their numbers with a lot of placards displaying their dissatisfaction with the Finance Ministry's refusal to revoke the licenses of the financial houses.
Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll be back with business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Bank of Ghana and the Development Bank Ghana, working with a digital partner, Proxtera, and supported by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, have signed a $100 million funding target to be disbursed to Ghanaian SME ecosystem through the Ghana Integrated Financial Ecosystem. Speaking at an MOU signing ceremony on the sidelines of the 3i Africa Summit, CEO of DBG, Kwamna Duka, highlighted the enormous impact this collaboration will have on domestic economic growth.
It's part of our on-lending funds that we receive from our development partners. So we received in total roughly about, for on-lending, maybe about 600 million. Over the next few years, we're allocating roughly about 100 million over the next few years to this digital platform, because we believe that's the way to go. That we need to move from a traditional method of lending to a more digitized way of lending. Proxtera is actually owned by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So they're doing two things. They're providing the technology platform that allows the deals to go through much quicker. They're also building at the same time the credit engine that allows the SMEs to be evaluated very quickly by the banks so that they don't go through the same old manual, traditional, long winding process. But it's a very good question you ask, right? The deficit that we have today is huge in terms of what our SMEs are looking for, and no one bank has enough money to fill that gap. So what does the development bank do? We act as a catalyst by creating the right mindset, by putting in place the right tools, by making sure that we only lend wholesale through the other banks. What happens? We're only the catalyst. So if we end up doing 14%, but by doing that we de-risk the environment, guess what? The banks are now more comfortable to come in. And already we've seen examples like that. I'll give you one example in agriculture. In the rubber industry, a few years ago, just when we started, none of the banks were in the rubber industry. So we go in as a catalyst. We start lending to the wholesale. We begin doing business development, building capacity. And now, guess what? We are irrelevant to the rubber sector because all the banks now have the confidence to go in because we have made those first steps.
Now, the Ghana-Netherlands Business and Culture Council, in collaboration with MDF West Africa, has launched the 5th edition of the Dutch Export Academy, aimed at helping entrepreneurs to export to the EU market. Now, according to the General Manager of the Ghana-Netherlands Business and Culture Council, Charlie Riada, the businesses will have opportunities to access investors and create markets for their products to enhance export activities. Dutch Export Academy initiative offers practical insights, expert guidance, and hands-on training to equip entrepreneurs with the knowledge and skills necessary for successful international trade. Participating businesses will be taken through courses such as export processes and documentation, export finance, and international trade agreements. General Manager of the Ghana-Netherlands Business and Culture Council, Charlie Riada, said this would help the businesses to capitalize on the European market.
Part of this program is now focused in Ghana, where we do the training, etc., etc. And then the second part of the program will be an expedition trip to the Netherlands, and that is for us also a challenge because we basically want to bring those Ghanaian companies in contact with interested party in the Netherlands. So it's like a matchmaking. So that one we are now trying to prepare. And that program is also not free. I mean, you have to invest yourself also in the airline ticket, etc. But so we don't want to make it a school trip to the Netherlands because everybody can do that. But I want to make that you when you are part of that trip, you really because you also have to put in some money yourself. That is worthwhile and it is beneficial for the Ghanaian companies, but also, of course, for the Dutch companies who want to import your stuff.
Director of the Management for Development Foundation, Julia Appiah, said the initiative has helped businesses scale up over the years.
Over the past 2 years, we introduced the study aspect where then they had the opportunity to travel to the Netherlands, and the exposure, I think, has been quite helpful because then whilst they are in the Netherlands, you get to visit shops, get to visit investors, people who are also looking for products from Ghana. Last year, for instance, it was really interesting to see businesses that they went to shops to ask for, trading, is it possible to sell? And we had people getting their stock being taken up by businesses in the Netherlands. Shops were open to take them up. The products that most of them sent, they sold out.
20 Ghanaian businesses are undergoing training under the Dutch Export Academy initiative. And that's it for the segment. News Desk returns after the break.
And that's where we draw the curtains this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do log on to myjournline.com for more of the news and developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.